Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 11th biology students, and this is meant for 18th September 2020. And in this session we are going to talk about what every day you experience, 24/7 you experience. What is that? Being science school student, always you will be doing something or the other. Some exercise, some sports, games, NCC, for everything that you do, there will be requirement of muscle contraction and relaxation. If these two are not there, there cannot be movements or locomotion. No movement, no locomotion is possible unless there is muscle contraction and muscle relaxation. So we study this under mechanism of muscle contraction. Mechanism of muscle contraction. To start with, let us study how a muscle gets contracted. Basically, this is a means nerve and muscle. So there is a combination of neuromuscular coordination. So unless we have neuromuscular coordination, the muscle movement is not possible. That is the reason why nervous system should be very, very good, so that muscular system also will become good. So nerve cell, that is motor neuron, that innervates the muscle fiber. As you are seeing, you can see the nerve touching the muscle fiber, sarcolemma, and cell membrane of the muscle fiber. And now in the first one, black arrows symbolize an impulse or action potential. When an action potential in an axon arrives at the neuromuscular junction, as I said, this is the area where action potential takes place. Neuromuscular junction, we say, as you are able to spot this. And so first, for any locomotion, for any movement, what is required? Creation of action potential, where at neuromuscular junction. And once that action potential is initiated, it initiates an action potential in the muscle fiber or cell membrane. So from the nerve, action potential has entered into the muscle membrane, that is cell membrane. That action potential spreads along the entire length of the cell membrane. As you are able to see these black marks, it is spreading this way and this way. And it does so, it spreads down to T tubules. You can see this is the T tubule, this green one. So from the sarcolemma, it is coming to T tubules. And once this action potential releases or comes down to T tubules, this causes sarcoplasmic reticulum to release Ca2 plus ions. So calcium ions will be released once the action potential reaches T tubule. And once the Ca2 plus are released, then the released Ca2 plus diffuses into sarcoplasm. This is sarcoplasm. And once it releases to sarcoplasm, all the myofibrils, that fine muscular fibers, the muscle fibrils will stimulate, and the muscle gets contracted. So this is how the muscle gets contracted. Contraction of the muscle takes place. After stimulation by the nerve cell ends, once the stimulation is over, now Ca2 plus is taken up from the sarcoplasm by the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Again, return action, reverse action. And once this Ca2 plus from sarcoplasm goes back to sarcoplasmic reticulum, muscle contraction gets terminated. So the contraction is over. And further, we can also in depth when we go inside the myofibril, what happens? All of us know there will be two proteins inside this muscle fiber, myosin and actin. What exactly happens? Already we discussed the structure of myosin and actin. Now we go for the step number 1, that is Ca2 plus is released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So main thing is calcium. That's why I've been telling you that you must eat a lot of fruits, a lot of foodstuffs that has got calcium, and one of the best foods that is rich in calcium is milk. So drink plenty of milk. Never waste milk, I said, even in the mess. This is the reason. The Ca2 plus calcium levels are high in your body. Naturally, your muscular movement location will be fast. So step number 2, Ca2 plus in the sarcoplasm binds troponin and exposes myosin binding sites on the actin filaments. Now you can see here troponin, this is the green one is the troponin, actin filament and tropomyosin, and of course this is the myosin filament. Now you can see what is happening is the Ca2 plus ions, myosin binding sites are there. So once the myosin binding sites are exposed on the actin filaments, now there is a gap between the two, myosin and actin filaments. Now what happens in the step number 3? Since there is a space and the head portion of the myosin bind to actin. Now the myosin head bind to actin as you are seeing here, and it releases inorganic phosphates that initiates power stroke. So here inorganic phosphate is released. Now the inorganic phosphate that is released will initiate the power stroke. Now in the power stroke, the myosin head changes conformation. Look at this. What about the shape of this and shape of this? Has it not bent backward? You can see. So there is a bending of backward and the head is going towards the top one. So in the power stroke, the myosin head changes conformation, bending so that the filaments are forced to slide past one another. So you can see the filaments slide past, and further in this what is happening? The ADP is released. ADP is released and ATP binds to myosin. This ATP is binding to the myosin and this causes it to release actin. Releasing actin is released. And ATP is hydrolyzed. The myosin head returns. Now see here in step number 5, the myosin head is bent. Now here you can see it is coming forward, and it is unbent, extended conformation. When excitation stops, Ca2 plus is returned to sarcoplasmic reticulum by Ca2 plus pumps using ATP and the muscle relaxes. So if you overall observe it, it is almost like a sliding filament. So that is why the mechanism of muscle contraction is best explained by sliding filament theory. This theory states that contraction of a muscle fiber takes place by the sliding of the thin filaments over thick filaments. This sliding filament theory of muscle contraction was proposed by two scientists, Huxley and Ralph, and Huxley and Hansen in 1954. So muscle contraction is initiated by a single scent. It is through signal, the nerve signal. It is initiated by a signal sent by the CNS, as I said just now, that is particularly motor neuron. A motor neuron along with the muscle fibers connected, it makes a unit, motor unit. So the junction between a motor neuron and the sarcolemma of the muscle fiber is called neuromuscular junction. Just now I have shown you here, neuromuscular junction. So this is the neuromuscular junction, and a neural signal reaching this junction releases neurotransmitter. Of course, all of you know acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter, which generates an action potential in the sarcolemma. So it is the neurotransmitter. This spreads through the muscle fiber and causes the release of calcium ions into the sarcoplasm. Increase in Ca2 plus levels leads to binding of calcium with a subunit troponin on actin filaments and thereby remove the masking of active sites by myosin. That is what exactly is happening here. So it is removal of the masking of the sites. And utilizing the energy from ATP hydrolysis, the myosin head now binds to the exposed active site. Here you can see here this is what it bends active exposed active site on the actin to form a cross bridge. So this is most important, formation of the cross bridge between the two protein fibers, cross bridge. So this is most important, cross bridge. This pulls the attached actin filaments toward the center of A band. The jet line attached to these actins are also pulled inwards, thereby causing shortening of sarcomere, resulting in contraction. During shortening of the muscle, that is contraction, the I bands get reduced, whereas the A bands retain the length. The myosin, releasing the ADP and inorganic phosphate, goes back to its relaxed state. A new ATP binds and the cross bridge is broken. Here you can see the ATP binding and the cross bridge is broken. The ATP is again hydrolyzed by the myosin head, and the cycle of cross bridge formation and breakage is repeated, causing further sliding. The process continues till the Ca2 plus ions are pumped back to the sarcoplasmic cisternae, resulting in the masking of actin filaments. This causes the return of jet lines back to their original position. Once the jet lines are back to their original position, the muscle gets relaxed. So this is relaxation stage. So repeated activation of the muscles can lead to the accumulation of lactic acid due to anaerobic breakdown of glycogen, causing us fatigue. That is the reason why I said there must be sufficient amounts of oxygen. When sufficient amounts of oxygen is available, muscle contraction and relaxation will not be a problem. Hence, whatever you are doing, do warm up, and now you understand and appreciate the concept of muscle contraction theory, because every day we experience it and we don't